Hi renovators. So today we're going to look at a case study of one of our real world projects. This is actually our first real flip that we got into. It was a cosmetic renovation. We bought a 3-bed 2-bath house. It was a high set house that the previous owner had built in underneath. So what that means is we had 3 beds, living, dining, kitchen and bathroom upstairs. Downstairs we had a garage, and then they built in another couple of utility rooms with a laundry and another bathroom. We bought the project in December for $330,000. That was December 2016. We didn't get much done in December because obviously all the trades are off. So we started the reno in January, and then we sold the property. We settled on March 31st for $460,000. So $330,000 to $460,000 in basically 3 months. That's an increase of 39% on essentially a 4-week project. So the project timeline: 4-week renovation, 3 weeks to sell, plus obviously the settlement period that took us through to the 31st of March. Reno cost was around 65 grand. Closing and finance and holding costs just over 20,000, which put our net profit at just under $40,000, which was a great turnaround for our first project in essentially 3 months. Obviously we were stoked with that. So the first step in the whole process is project sourcing and purchasing. Now this was an on the market property. It was on realestate.com.au. It was found by my wife Em. I find on realestate.com.au it's one of these things where people say you can't get good deals unless you get them off market, but all of our properties have been on realestate.com.au. A couple I've found the day they've come on, bought them straight away, or we've found. A couple have been, like this one, on the market for a while, but the inner value has been covered up by the outer mess and other things. So the house was very, very old, very, very worn. The main issue was they had a sick old dog and they had carpet everywhere. So you can imagine what the smell was like. It really hit you in the face when you walked inside this house. All the other buyers, all the other people that were looking with families and children, as soon as they walked in and they smelled that, they couldn't see anything else about the house. So it was on for quite a while. No one really wanted it, but we saw the value, we saw what it could sell for. So we did our initial feasibility. We looked at the other properties in the area, had a good idea of what we thought that it would sell for after the renovation, and we offered $345,000 with a due diligence, finance, and a cleaning clause to make sure that they actually cleaned the house before we took ownership. During the due diligence, we had a couple of inspections, obviously building and pest. We had the pool inspected to make sure there were no leaks in the pipework, and we had a number of trades come through to quote us on the various different things that needed done with the house. Really, really important part here is get as many of your trades through during your due diligence before you go on conditional, because if you blow out by 20 grand or 30 grand and you're not going to make any profit anymore, you can still walk away and get your deposit back and be totally within your legal rights. So our prices did increase, our costs, mainly because of an asbestos roof that we weren't told about. So it's about 15 grand to replace an asbestos roof with a colorbond roof, depending on the size obviously. There were additional repairs to rotten pieces of timber and a few other bits and pieces, and this was our first reno, so we underestimated the costs fairly significantly. Obviously we hadn't really done the whole estimation thing before. So we went back to the vendor, and we asked for a price reduction because they hadn't told us about the asbestos roof. They agreed immediately to a $15,000 price reduction to the final purchase price of $330,000. This worked quite well for us because after we got the reduction, we looked around for other options, and we ended up actually getting a licensed professional in to seal and repaint the asbestos for about $1,600 as opposed to replacing the whole roof. So our reno costs during the planning period went from around $50K to around $65,000. Now that's about a 30% increase. Again, I really must stress how important it is that you get as many fixed quotes as possible during that due diligence period, because if your prices go up too much, you can still walk away. Now, our prices did go up, but based on what we thought we were going to sell the house for, it still looked like a really good project, so we decided to proceed. So the next step of any project is obviously planning and booking in your trades. So do not underestimate how labor intensive this is. You have to have a good system to plan the project, to have your timelines and your costings, to work out what your materials, everything from light switches and fans to carpets and tiles. And you also have to make sure you get at least 3 to 4 quotes for each job. Unless you have a really, really good team of trades that you've used quite a lot, you need to get a lot of quotes. I mean, on this particular project, we ended up paying, I think, around $11,000 or $12,000 for the entire painting of the house, including paint, inside and out. We had one guy come through and quote us $25,000 for the labor. Now, you know, the price difference between different trades can be astronomical. So if you don't know your trades and you're not using ones that you used previously, please, please, please get a lot of quotes. Again, we had a difficulty in this stage trying to organize people before Christmas. We ended up not doing much, and we ended up just sort of cracking on in January. One thing that is a really good idea when you're going into these projects, and we learned it after this first project, was get an early access clause in your contract so that you can basically come in before you settle, maybe 2 or 3 times with different trades, and you can get all of your quotes, and then you can actually book your trades in so that the day you settle, you can get cracking straight away. You could knock, 2 or 3 weeks off your project time just by doing that. So that's a really, really good tip if you're looking at getting into a cosmetic renovation. So we didn't really have any big issues during this stage aside from the Christmas break. We got everyone booked in January, and then we cracked on with the renovation. So that's it for part 1 of this case study. Next week in part 2, I'll be looking at the project management and obviously the sales phase, numerous issues we had during that stage, as well as all of the lessons that we learned from this project. So hopefully everyone will tune in and see how this one ended. If you are interested in keeping up to date with our property content, tips and tricks and ideas, also our experiences from our projects that are ongoing, please make sure to check us out, Facebook and Instagram at Hooper Homes Briz, BRIS. Otherwise, our blog has a lot of content as well on our website, www.hooperhomes.com.au. So thanks for tuning in, and hopefully see everyone